Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 3 and the final part of my giant Unhaul with Me series where I am going through my entire book collection, looking at every single book that I own and deciding what books I want to keep and which ones I am ready to get rid of. If you missed them, parts 1 and 2 were me going through the bookshelves that are upstairs in my office, which are like my main bookshelves. But today, in this video, we are going to be going through this shelf down here, which is in my dining room slash living room. You guys, I think, never see this shelf. This is kind of my shelf of shame, where anytime I bring books downstairs to read them or film with them, or sometimes when I get new books, they never make it upstairs. Books come down here to die. I put them on this shelf and I just forget that they exist. So I don't even really know what's on here. It's a random assortment of books that I've read in the past year, books that I talked about in videos that I filmed downstairs, books that I hauled and then never took upstairs. So I genuinely don't know what's on this shelf. Both shelves are also double stacked. There are books behind as well. So just like my other videos, we're gonna go through these book by book and I'm gonna decide as we're going which ones I wanna keep and get rid of. If you've been wondering, watching all of these unhauls, why I'm doing this, why am I getting rid of hundreds of books? One, I've just run out of book space. The second reason is that I am going to be starting a vlog series very soon where my intent is to read my entire physical TBR in 1 year. And so before I started that series, I wanted to make sure that the books that are still on my physical TBR are ones that I am genuinely very excited to read. So we are gonna start, we're gonna get into it. Up here at the very top, I won't completely go through them. Those are like brand new books that I've bought in the past like 3 months, and then I've gotten a few ARCs. But other than that, I've done very good at not getting new books. All right, so we're gonna start and go through the front part of this shelf. This back here is my Stars Hollow Gilmore Girls puzzle, and I kind of just use that as a bookend. I have Ink Blood Sister Scribe. The Dust Jacket is somewhere, I don't know. This is a book that I was reading and then I had to put it down. I do want to come back to it at some point because I was really enjoying it. Strange the Dreamer, I think I'm gonna pull this one off and I will think about it. This is a book that I've had for so long and I don't know if maybe the window has closed. That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. This one I gave 3 stars, but I am very excited to continue the series and I love this cover, so I'm gonna keep that. Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon. This one I hated, so I think I will pull this one off. Bride, I loved, one of my favorite romances that I've read this year, so I'm obviously keeping that. Funny Feelings, I have not read, but I really want to read this. Same with Raiders of the Lost Heart. Both of these are romance books. We have The Last Hero, which is the 3rd book to the First Sister series, which I really want to finish this series. It's such an amazing sci-fi series. A Game of Hearts and Heists, which is a spicy lesbian fantasy romance that I really want to read, hopefully in June, because I'm planning to read only queer books. Keeper of Enchanted Rooms. This is like a cozy fantasy that I really want to read, so I'll keep that one. Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. This is book 2 that I've read this one and I loved it, so keeping that. Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This is a Sapphic Medusa romance that I really want to read. Lore of the Wilds. This one I DNF'd. I really did not like it, which is super unfortunate because I think the cover is beautiful. So I think I'll take that one off. All Roads Lead Here, I am keeping. This is also one of my favorite romances that I read this year. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This one I got recently. I got this back in March, or maybe it was February. I think it was the end of February. And I really want to read that. A Botanical Daughter, this one I also really want to read soon. This is an MM, like, Frankenstein kind of book. A lot of these on this, like, front-facing part are books that I've gotten this year. So they're, like, either I read them very recently or they're very high on my TBR. Tell Me How It Ends, this one I also got recently and I really want to read. It's another queer fantasy. The Darkly Duet by Trisha Wolfe. This is the Born Darkly and Born Madly, which I have read multiple times. It's a dark romance and I really love it. And I was so excited that there was this like very nice hardcover edition. The Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon. This is the sequel to Lady of Rooksgrave Manor and I'm super excited to read that. They're like monster romances. Nightshade by Carrie Lake. This one is like a gothic romance that sounds really good. Now moving down here, we have Chlorine by Jade Song, which I really want to finish reading. I started this and then just never finished it because I had a lot of other books that I wanted to read. An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This one I'm pulling down. I did not like this book. Our Hideous Progeny. This one is another kind of like Frankenstein type of book that I really want to read. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one I've read twice and I really love it, so keeping that. Feybound. This is a fantasy book that I really want to read. It's a beautiful edition from, I think, Waterstones. A Fate Inked in Blood. This is a Viking fantasy romance that I need to read very soon. Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. This is a sapphic historical romance that I read and I loved so much. It is so, so good. If you are looking for something to give you like the Bridgerton vibes, but it's also super gay, this is it. Dragonfall. This one I'm gonna pull off because I did not like this. The Story of 100 Promises. This one I believe is like a queer, cozy fantasy book that sounds really good. All right, so then this little section down here, I have Loot by Jennifer Thorne, which I did not like, so I will pull this one off. Tell Me What Really Happened. This one I got unsolicited from the publisher and I really don't know what it's about, so I'll pull that one down. A Marvelous Light. This is another book that I did not really like, so I'll pull that one off. Gone to See the Riverman. This one I'm really not sure about because I think it's extreme horror, which kind of scares me, but I think I'll hold on to it for now. I want to try reading it before I get rid of it. Dark Harvest. This is like a Halloween horror novella that I do want to read. I just always forget every Halloween to read it. Lost Boy by Christina Henry. This is a dark Peter Pan retelling and I loved this, so I'll keep that. We Need to Do Something and The Worm and His Kings. I did not like either of these books, so I will pull those off. And then My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones was one of my favorite horror books of last year, so I will be keeping that one. So from that shelf, I pulled off 10 books. 8 of those I have already read and I did not like them, so we're just gonna get rid of this whole stack. I just really don't feel the need to hold on to books that I've read and I didn't enjoy. I would rather fill up those spaces on my bookshelves with books that I really want to read or books that I love. So then I have 2 books. One of them that I've owned for like maybe 10 years. The other one, don't know what it is. So let's find out what this book is. I think it's a thriller. Okay, it's about friends who go and like they're camping in the woods and then one of them vanishes. Oh, the whole book is told through police interviews. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay, I think I will keep this one and try it out maybe during Summerween. This might be a good Summerween book to read. I probably wouldn't be keeping it if it wasn't told in police interviews, but I love when books have some type of like mixed media. And then Strange the Dreamer. I've just been told by so many people that I would love this book and I think that's why I've always held on to it. I did try to read it at one point and I didn't get very far into it. I don't know. I think I'll keep it. I think I'll keep it for now. It has survived yet another unhaul. I feel like this one's up for grabs every unhaul that I do. And she's survived once again. So far, I'm only getting rid of 8 books. And now let's move on to the next shelf. We have The Last Words by Taylor Adams, which I have read, and I really, really loved this book, so I will be keeping that one. Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan, I am keeping. I read this one, and if you remember from my other unhauls, I own the rest of the series, and they're all upstairs, and I'm very excited to continue it. The Thick and the Lean, which is a book that I don't really know what it's about, but it was definitely a cover by, and I really, really want to read it. This cover is just so stunning and trippy. The Golf, which is a book that I think was sent to me by the publisher and I don't really remember what it's about, so I'll pull that one down and we can look at it. Same with Stinger. This one was sent to me by the publisher and I don't know anything about this author, so I'll look at that one. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, I'm gonna pull off because I actually DNF'd this book. The Thorns Remain. This is a fantasy that I think is about like fairies and it sounds really, really cute. Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. This one I think is like kind of an unhinged women book and I think I want to read this during Summerween, so I'm gonna save that one. Oh, I think they're all about to tip over. Okay. The Fairy Bargains of Prospect Hill. This is another fairy book that I really want to read. The Mimicking of Known Successes. I'm gonna pull this one off because I didn't really like this. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I am keeping this. This is a sapphic, cozy fantasy that just recently came out on audio, so I want to read it very soon. The Honey Month by Amal El-Motar. This is a collection of poems all about different kinds of honey, and it just sounds so cute. I feel like this is going to be like the perfect summer read. I didn't read it last summer, but I've been waiting for it to be summer again so that I can read it. I feel like it'll just be cute to sit outside and maybe make something with honey and read that. Everything by Nicola Yoon. I will be keeping this. This is an ARC that I got, and it's signed and personalized to me, and I just have a lot of very fond memories because this was actually the very first book that Nicola Yoon ever signed. She told me that personally because I was the first person in her signing line at BEA, and this book hadn't come out yet, and this was her debut. So it was just like a very special moment, and I've always wanted to hold on to that. Disfigured, this is a collection of like stories about disabilities in fairy tales, and I think it's nonfiction, and I've been really interested in reading that. Slade House, this is a book that I got for a video that I was gonna do, and then I ended up canceling the video, and I don't know that I have intents to read this outside of that, so I'll pull that one down and we can think about it. Bewitched, this is an ARC of a book that I unhauled, I think, in one of the other parts. For some reason I had duplicate copies. I had like a finished copy and then an ARC copy, so I'll get rid of that one. I will also be getting rid of Radiant Sin by Katie Robert because I just don't like this series. Six of Crows, this is an ARC copy that I got also at BEA. Might have been the same year as the other one, and it is signed to me, and I will be keeping this forever and ever. The Relentless Moon, this is the third book in a series, and I own all of the books, and I do really want to read them. I actually think the other books might be on this shelf somewhere. Those are like sci-fi alternate history. Then I have these two books, which you can see are still in the plastic. These are Mystic Box editions of Gianna Darling's series, When Heroes Fall and When Villains Rise. I'm unsure if I'm gonna like these. I haven't read them, and I want to read them first before I decide. This book, I don't know what this is, don't remember where I got it from, so I'll look at that. Sister Maiden Monster, this was one of the worst books that I read last year, and we're gonna get rid of it because I hated it. These are both mangas. The Girl from the Other Side I have read, and I really enjoyed that. And then Happiness I really want to read. I read another series by this author, and I really liked it. Those are the only two mangas that I own. The Scourge Between Stars, this one I did not like. This is a sci-fi horror book that really I thought was going to be 5 stars for me, and I was very disappointed. So I'll pull that one down. On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous. This one I really want to read. I have a video in mind that I've been saving that for. Pen Pal, I really love this book. This is a horror book that genuinely terrified me, so I'll be keeping that. The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel, I will be keeping. I did DNF this, but I just feel like I wasn't in the right mood for it. One Dark Window I'm keeping. I really loved this book. I give this one 4 stars. And then Middle Game I will also be keeping. This was not like a favorite of mine, but I liked it enough to want to keep it. All right, from that shelf, I also pulled off 10 books. 4 of them I have read / this one I DNF'd. I just didn't like any of these books, so we're gonna get rid of those. I can already hear the cries about this book. I'm so sorry. This is now the second, actually the third time I've DNF'd Erin Morgenstern, because I DNF'd The Night Circus twice. She's not for me, and I'm so sorry about it. So then I have these 2 books that I haven't read. Actually, this one I DNF'd, so that one will go over there. I forgot that I DNF'd that. And then this one I haven't read, but I don't like this series, and I have no intention of reading it. So then I have 4 books here that I don't really know what they're about. So we have The Gulf. This one sounds like it's kind of a southern gothic thriller about this woman whose elderly neighbor, who's always been like a mother to her, turns up dead, and no one seems to care about finding out what happened to her except for her and the woman's long lost estranged daughter and the main character's first love. So it's sapphic. Okay, now I'm remembering, I think probably why I accepted this from the publisher was because it was sapphic. Anytime I get an email from a publisher and I can see the word sapphic in it, I'm just like, yes please. How Strange a Season. If I remember correctly, I feel like this book is one that somebody, when I bought something on Pango, they just kind of threw into the box. It says it's a collection of short stories about the lives of women. It kind of seems like it's literary fiction, which is not my favorite. I'm just gonna get rid of that one. Slade House, again, like I said, this is one I bought for a video that I ended up not doing, and I had never even heard of the book before the video. I do remember it had this like really cool map. I don't know, I think I'll just get rid of it. I'm not feeling a pull to it. And then Stinger by Mia Sheridan. I think this is a romance book. Carson Stinger, oh, okay, that's his name. Doesn't play by any rules except his own. Working in the adult entertainment industry. Okay. He doesn't care what others think of his choices and takes each day as it comes. No distraction, no plans. Until her. I don't know. It sounds kind of basic. I think I'll just get rid of it. I'm saving one book from that shelf. And if you guys can see, all of those books now fit in one single row, which is perfect. So now we're gonna move on to the bottom shelf, which again is double stacked. How High We Go in the Dark, which I'm going to pull off because I did not like this book, which was like a shock to everybody, including myself. These three are all books that I read in a very recent vlog. This one I loved, I gave 5 stars. I will be keeping that. This one I gave 3 stars, I thought was fine. I don't know that I need to hold on to it. And then this one I absolutely hated. We're getting rid of it. The 7-Year Slip I will be keeping. I loved this book. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. I really enjoyed this book. I gave this one 4 stars. I will also keep that one. Paladin's Grace. This one I am going to get rid of, and you might be surprised. However, this is the 3rd copy of this book that I own. This was the first one that I bought, I think at a used bookstore. And I now have a special edition, and then I have this one in hardcover and the entire rest of the series in hardcover. So I don't need the paperback anymore. Ring Shout, this one I also read recently, and I gave this one 3.5 stars, but unlike The Book Eater, I want to hold on to this because I do think I would like recommend it in videos. Thirst, this one I loved. This is a sapphic vampire book that I was obsessed with. Cursed Red, this is a very weird kind of like literary historical book. Women Eating, this is a vampire book, like literary fiction. These three are very similar, and that's why they're on the bookshelf together, because I talked about them in a video together, which as you can see, that happens very often. I will talk about books in a video, and if I'm filming it downstairs, they just all go right onto the shelf and never go back upstairs. Gods of Jade and Shadow, which I read recently, and I gave this 3 stars, so I think I'm gonna get rid of that. The City of Brass, this one I've owned for so long, and I actually think I might be reading it soon, maybe. So we're gonna hold on to it. Our Lady of the Ice, this is I think like a sci-fi, the world has frozen over and everybody lives under this like dome. It sounds very cool. I've always wanted to read that. The Wolf Road by Beth Lewis. This one I believe is about a girl who finds out that the man that's been raising her actually kidnapped her. Autonomous, this is a sci-fi about robots, I think. Also, to note, mixed into this bottom shelf are about 30 books that are the oldest books that I've owned, like the books that I've had on my TBR the longest. All 4 of these were part of that. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This one I love. It's one of my favorite sci-fi books. I've read this twice, and I'm definitely keeping that. Okay, Big Swiss. I don't know. This one I didn't love. I gave this one 3 stars, but I love this cover. This is my dilemma when books that I did not like have really cool covers. I think I'll pull it off, mostly because I didn't love it, and also I hate this thing right here. That really bothers me. Requiem for Immortals, this one I'm keeping. This is a sapphic, like she's an assassin and her target is this woman, and she's like, I don't want to kill her. She's beautiful. I really want to read this. A Natural History of Dragons, I will be keeping. I really liked this book and I want to continue the series. Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. This one I will keep. I didn't love this book, but I thought it was a fun time. Light from Uncommon Stars, I will be keeping. I have started reading this and I was really enjoying it, but then my audiobook hold from my library expired. So I'm waiting for it again so that I can finish it. In the Roses of Pyria, this is a sapphic vampire, fae, fantasy. It just sounds so cool. The Historian, this is another kind of like vampire book that I have been recommended a lot. Forged by Magic, this is a cozy fantasy romance that I really enjoyed. Scarlet by Genevieve Cogman, another vampire book. This one is set in the French Revolution, and I really want to read that one. And then we have Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee, which is a novella that I also really want to read. All right, so from that shelf, I pulled off 6 books, and I have read all of these. We are just gonna get rid of all of them. Nothing to save from there. I do think if I was like really forcing myself to say something, it would be Big Swiss. I just don't feel like I need to if I didn't really love the book. Now we are at this final last row. A lot of these ones that are back here were from those like list of 30 books that were the oldest on my TBR. So a lot of these are very old books. I've owned them for a long time and they have survived many unhauls for some reason or another. Although actually, we have The Hobbit over here, which I obviously read. So we'll be keeping her. But a lot of these books I might be able to reevaluate if I want to keep them or not. So we have The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This one I do want to keep because I think it's about a librarian who is also a spy, but then it's also fantasy and they can jump through like different portals to like different worlds. I don't know, it just sounds really interesting. I've always been interested in that book. Shades of Milk and Honey. This is the girl. You know, all the girls on my shelf? All the spines are girls. She's the girl. And I really need to read this. This series has literally been haunting my bookshelves for a decade, and I need to read it. It's like a Regency, fantasy, Jane Austen vibe. I don't think that one needed words. Okay. Moving along. Trafficking by Joe Abercrombie. This one I started reading and then I DNF'd. I don't know that this is the kind of fantasy for me anymore. Alice by Christina Henry. I'm going to keep. I love Christina Henry's books and I want to read all of them. The Book of M, I'm not sure about anymore. It does sound interesting, but I kind of feel like the time for me to read this has come and gone. So I'll pull that one off. Dark Matter. I held on to this book for so long, and I always wanted to read it. And then the trailer for the movie came out and it kind of spoils the entire book. So don't watch the trailer if you want to read this book. It spoiled everything and I feel like it's ruined for me. So I don't really want to read the book anymore. Mistakes were certainly made, but I'm very annoyed that I feel like the trailer spoiled everything. And then I was thinking, oh, maybe there's like a different twist and that's like a not the real twist. But all the comments were like, oh my God, it spoiled the whole book. It spoiled the whole movie. I'm like, oh. Great. Empire of Sand. This is another one. I just think the time for me to read this has passed. I feel like I have so many other fantasy books with a similar premise. No, I'm keeping this one. This is by Mira Grant, aka Shauna McGuire. This is actually 3 books. It's a whole trilogy, so it's not really this long. It's 3 books in here that are about the zombie apocalypse. 10,000 Doors of January. I just don't know. I DNF'd a book by this author. There's another book I read from them that I didn't like. I think if there is a book of theirs that I'm willing to try, it's Starling House. A Heart's Blood by Juliette Marillier, which has a very unfortunate, horrible cover. I will be keeping this one because actually one of my patrons very recently said that this book reminded them of Entreat Me by Grace Draven, which I loved. So I do want to read this. I think it's kind of loosely inspired by Beauty and the Beast. Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I do want to keep. This is a spin-off of The Remnant Chronicles. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I do want to keep. I've always wanted to read this. Now, Daughter of the Forest. This one I'm not sure about. Maybe I'll try it. No, I'll try it. I'll keep it. The Lies of Locke Lamora. I do want to keep. I have always wanted to read this. Senlin Ascends. This one I'm not sure about. I have just heard that this book is like very weird, which piques my interest a lot. The Unquiet. This one I think survived my last unhaul because it's about parallel Earths and clones, but it's also YA, which I didn't know. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think I'll try it because I do love a good clone book. There's just something about clones that's so interesting to me. The Lost Queen. This is another one that I've always wanted to read. It's like a historical fantasy book inspired by Merlin. Also, I need you guys to know, every single time I pull a book out, a cloud of dust just puffs up. So if I get sick, it's because of this. It's because of these damn books. And it was for your entertainment that I did it. The Silence of the Girls. I think I might get rid of this one. I have not liked a single Greek mythology book that I've read. Oh, well, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. I am a #1 Achilles hater. Achilles, very first sentence of this book. Great Achilles, brilliant Achilles, shining Achilles, godlike Achilles. How the epithets pile up. We never called him any of those things. We called him the Butcher. Oh, now wait a minute. Now if this here is a burn book for Mr. Achilles, I will read it. You know what, I might keep it. I might keep it. A Study in Scarlet Women. This one I do want to keep because this is like a Victorian murder mystery series following Charlotte Holmes, who I'm not sure if she is supposed to be like a female Sherlock Holmes or if she's Sherlock Holmes' daughter. I don't know, but I own a lot of the books in this series and I've always wanted to read them. Kindred by Octavia Butler. This one, I don't know. I don't know if I want to read this. It sounds just like so heavy, and I'm sure it's great and impactful. I just don't know if I want to read it. I think there's other books by Octavia Butler that I would want to read, like Parable of this Hour. I'm not sure about this one. Fingersmith, this is a historical sapphic mystery. Actually, I don't know if it's a mystery, but I do really want to read it. It's just, she's thick, she's long. The Calculating Stars, this is part of that sci-fi series that I mentioned. This is the first book. The Gracekeepers, this one, I love this cover. I think this is about a floating, traveling circus that like floats on the water, and a girl and her bear. And then we have The Enchanted. This one, I think is like a magical realism book about like prison, but I don't think I'm interested in that. So we'll pull that one off. The very last section of books we have to get to has been behind me this whole time. I've been hiding it. Some of the books on there are part of my stack of shame. All right, I'm gonna pull them out. These first 4 books are not part of the stack of shame, okay? These are the Steel of Saints series by T. Kingfisher that I have in hardcover. So I'm keeping all of those, obviously. And then this book down here, The River of No Return, I'm getting rid of. I have no interest in this book anymore. I've owned it for so long. Now my little stack of shame, okay? We'll start with the least shameful. That is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead, who is one of my favorite authors. However, this book, oh, girl, what? Yes, these books, these here books, okay? Now, we all know my past sins, my grave mistakes. I loved Fourth Wing. And then this book was the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. They've just been sitting back here on my shelf. I could have gotten rid of them a long time ago, but I was in my shame corner. I was still processing, and now we're moving on. From that shelf, I pulled off 12 books. Out of those 12, I've read 3 of them. Goodbye. These other 9, as I said, are all books that I've owned for like 10 years. And I feel like if I haven't read them at this point, and I don't have like the strongest intention to do it, it's just not gonna happen. I feel like I've kind of changed as a reader. I'm not interested in these anymore, so we'll just get rid of all of those. So from this bookshelf, I'm getting rid of a total of 35 books. Out of those 35, 22 of them are books that I have already read. So it's only 13 books that I am getting rid of that are off of my TBR. And now that means that every book that is still on my physical TBR is something that I'm still interested in reading, something that I'm still very excited by. So like I said, I'm going to be starting a reading vlog series called TBR Tackle, where my goal is to read my entire physical TBR in 1 year. Now that I have gotten my physical TBR down, I will be starting that series very soon, and I'm so excited about it. I'm just very excited that my book collection is very refreshed and it's full of books that I'm really excited by / books that I've read that I really love. But I really hope you guys have enjoyed following me along in this unhauling process. It just felt very like cleansing and cathartic for me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe and check out my Patreon where I post tons of exclusive content. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!